My wife and I are staring down from a rock that we're sitting on, looking at the tops of some trees. And beyond the tops of those trees is the town of Boulder, Colorado. We've just done a hike. We got up to this cool little arch that looks over both Boulder and off in the distance, you can see Denver. Don't ask me why we were out so far close to the edge. We were only there because other people were doing it. And we thought, well, if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for us, right? So we're sitting on this rock, dangling our feet high above Boulder. And as we're enjoying the sunshine, we're enjoying the wind, I start to complain about my hiking pants. Again, my wife reminds me, you've been complaining about this for a year. You haven't done anything about it. Fair enough, I said. They just don't fit anymore. They're kind of worn out. They don't have all the functionality that I would like them to have. So naturally, I complained. My wife says, oh, great idea. Let's go to an outdoor recreation store when we get back to Denver. Come on, no, I don't need new pants. I don't need them. I don't need new pants. She said, fine, that's a great argument. If you didn't just tell me that you needed new pants. Fair enough, I lose. Let's compromise. We go to the outdoor recreation store. And I'm looking through different types of hiking pants. And I found 3 that I really like. But it's hard to decide which one's the best one. They range in price. You know, there's a $20, $30, $40 difference between these pants. And you can kind of see what you're getting for your money. And I just really can't decide. I go back and I go forth and I go back and forth. And then I go back and forth again. Finally, the saleswoman says, you know, here's a good idea. You might consider just buying all of them, taking them home, see how they fit, see how they feel. And then you can bring the 2 back that you don't want. It's a cool idea, but I don't live here though. So that's okay. Where do you live? I said, Minneapolis. They said, great. There's several stores there. You can bring them back to any store. So I bought all 3. I'm fortunate enough that I could afford all 3 of those pairs, especially knowing that I'm going to get about 2/3 of this money back as soon as I return those other 2 pairs. But over a year later, I still have all 3 pairs. It's not an accident. Those return policies are not because they're just being nice. They're designed to sell more. Find out more right after this. Hey, it's Derek Hagan. I'm a financial therapist specializing in mindfulness and purpose and happiness. Here with another Money Health presentation where we're going to talk about return policies and how those are meant to get you to buy more. And this is what happened to me. They said, just go ahead and take it home. That's what they told me out loud. What they knew was that I wasn't going to bring it back. Gotcha. All right. They sold 3 pairs of pants instead of 1. This is not an accident. This is completely by design. It's completely by design. So the idea here is that it says return policy flexibility. The more return policy flexibility is, the more money you're going to spend, the more things you're going to buy. And there are some very specific reasons for this that I want to share with you today. So the first psychological idea that gets taken advantage of, little hack that they take advantage of, is called the endowment effect. Now, the endowment effect says you're going to value something more simply by owning it. Okay, so if you own something, you're going to think it's worth more than if you didn't own that thing. I'll say that again. If you own something, if it's yours, you're going to think it's more valuable than if you didn't have it. So how much do you think it's worth? If you own it, you think it's worth this much. If somebody else owns it, you only think it's worth that much. And there's a lot of reasons for that. A lot of psychological reasons that we value things the way that we do. Not the least of which is we're emotionally invested in some things. You know, think of your house. You know, this isn't just a house for you. This is where maybe your kids learned how to play piano, or this is where you had a lot of those backyard barbecues. There's probably some blood, sweat, and tears that went into your house. That's actually something called the Ikea effect. Now, the Ikea effect says that you will value something more if you put it together. So Ikea, if you don't know what Ikea is a furniture store where they sell you the furniture that's not put together yet. It ships easier that way so they can keep the cost down, and then you assemble it. That's how it works. You go to this big, gigantic store. You put in a lot of effort to find what you want. You put in a lot of effort to get it home. You have to buy your obligatory meatballs. Then you get it home. You try to put it together without losing your temper. And then you got to find something to do with all those extra spare parts, because there's always spare parts. So you hide those from your family. You don't know what to do with them. But then you've got this piece of furniture that you made. It's yours. So you're going to value it. You're going to value it up here. Now, somebody else that wants to buy that piece of furniture, they don't know anything about it. They don't care. Now, the second aspect is something called loss aversion. The idea is a lot of people think that we're averse to risk, but risk in statistical terms or in kind of personal finance terms is deviation from average. But here's the thing. Nobody cares if you're above average. If you get above average returns on your investment, that's okay. If you get above average of what you thought you were going to make, that's okay. What we're averse to is losses. And the idea with loss aversion is that a loss hurts us twice as much as the same gain feels good. A loss hurts twice as much as a gain feels good. What does that mean? That means if I give you $100, it's going to feel pretty good. It's going to feel pretty good. But if I take away $100 from you, it's going to really, really hurt. Okay, so you got a baseline level of happiness, then you get something, and you get a little bit of joy from that. But then if you subsequently lose it, it's going to feel awful. Losses hurt. We will fight harder to keep something we already have because we don't want to lose it than we will to get something we don't yet have. That's important stuff. So when you add those things together, you've got yourself a return policy. So take it home. If you take it home, you're probably not going to bring it back. Why? Because now it's yours. Endowment effect, you're going to value it higher because now it's yours. And loss aversion, you don't want to lose it. You don't want to give it up. And so when you consider, okay, I got to take this thing back and now I have to drive across town. It's going to take 2 hours to do it. And I got to stand in the line. Is that really worth $50 to me? Well, maybe the thing was worth $50, but now you value it at $60 because you own it and you don't want to lose it. That's why there's a return policy. The alternative is you think about it and then you come back. You come back to the store to get it. That's not a coincidence. This is 100% by design. So we've got these biases and fear. They stand in the way of you and good intentions. These biases, fear of being embarrassed, those are getting in the way of all of our good intentions. I had good intentions of just buying one pair of hiking pants. But those biases got in the way. And now I still have them. So the antidote here is just mindful spending, is spending awareness. Being aware of your spending. The more you're aware of your spending, the better your decisions are going to get, your financial decisions. What does that mean? That means just knowing what you're spending on, knowing that you're making decisions, knowing what you're trading off, knowing what the consequences are. Spend and know that you're spending. Ask yourself, get out ahead of it. Is this in line? Is this thing that I'm about to buy, are these hiking pants in my case, in line with what money's purpose is in my life? How will I feel tomorrow if I buy this today? I'm thinking about buying it and returning it. Do I think I'm actually going to return it? You can ask yourself these questions ahead of time, and that will help save some heartache and money in the long run. You get one life. Live intentionally.